there are no surprises really with. Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's not just us. Mhm.
But they're that. 3%. Point.
Well, and he's getting subsidized too. Yeah, he's getting subsidies that, he can do that. Just encourage investment, you know, affordability in that, well, when you drive past the old Quality, that back section that they didn't tear down, there's people living there. Yes, they're living there. Oh yeah, yeah. They're living in, one bedroom or one room with a bathroom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Unbelievable. So there is a need, absolutely.
All right, I think we'll get started, everyone. Welcome to Lebanon City Pre-Council meeting for September 21st, 2023. Going through the agenda for Monday night. Richard, you have the prayer.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, please take a look at the minutes. Be prepared for any corrections, additions, or deletions. You've also received the budget report for January 1st through August 31st. And Mayor, give us a quick rundown.
Sure. With 67% of the budget year completed, our revenues are at 86% and our expenditures are at 49%. So we have performed better than budget in both categories.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Any questions
You're
from
welcome.
council concerning the budget and from anyone in attendance? Okay. And tonight we have a department update from the chief, fire chief.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
Again, this year, as we observe Fire Prevention Week this year, cooking fire remains the leading cause of home fires and home fire injuries. Cooking safety starts with you. This year, our focus is on preventing fires, which remain a significant cause of residential fires and injuries in our city. In the year 2022, the city of Lebanon responded to 11 cooking fires, resulting in 2 civilian injuries and roughly $100,000 in damage. By being proactive and informed, we can make our homes safer and prevent needless tragedies. So how do we make cooking safer? I would like to share some good safety measures to take when cooking. Stay in the kitchen. It is extremely important to stay in the kitchen while you're cooking and keeping an eye on the food that you're cooking. If you would happen to leave, please turn off your stove or oven. Keeping flammable items away. It is important to keep dish towels, pot holders, paper towels, loose clothing away from any open flame or heating element to prevent catching fire. Turning handles inward. It is extremely important when you're cooking to have the handles turned inward when you have kids running around or you happen to bump it while passing by. Fire extinguishers. Having a fire extinguisher under the sink or within the vicinity of the kitchen is extremely important in case you would happen to have a fire and you can put it out extremely quickly. Smoke alarms. Keeping the smoke alarms working properly and in the proper locations throughout your home and tested on a regular basis is extremely helpful in the case of a kitchen fire. Children and pets. It's important to keep children and pets away from the cooking area at least 3 feet surrounding the stove so that in case there is ever an incident, you don't have to worry about your kids being in the way. And then avoid distractions. So when we're cooking, we always like to watch that Sunday night football game or baseball game and get distracted very easily while cooking, and that's another cause of cooking fires. And then how do we handle cooking fires? So if it's a small fire, always having a lid to cover up the dish is always good practice, but we do have large fires sometimes, and you don't hesitate to evacuate and call 911 right away. So this year's open house, the City of Lebanon will be hosting an event on October 9th, which is our fire prevention night, from 6 to 7:30 at 909 Mifflin Street, which is our Firehouse Station 2. During that time, we'll be doing fire safety activities, fire station tours, education on fire safety, free food, and meet your local fire department and any questions that you may have in regards to fire safety. As far as a general update of our department, we are excited that we will be expecting a new engine in 2024 and a new ladder truck in 2025. I also implemented a program that I would like to share, that we are looking for any type of sponsorship for a fire safety inflatable house that I feel will be a very big success in the public relations side of our operations and getting engaged with the community in a fun activity, but also in a fire prevention safety standpoint.
Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, so it's basically, if you think of a bounce house, it is generally it's a bounce house, but it is configured into a house-like atmosphere where it has a kitchen area, a living room area, a bedroom area, and it's a kid activity that is geared towards fire safety, but also makes it fun while doing that.
Not for adults.
It can most certainly be for adults if you
All right.
want, yeah.
And don't they put smoke in it?
Yep, so we do have a smoke machine that we would like to be a part of it, that kind of gives it that real-life scenario or atmosphere so that kids understand the importance of fire safety and what to do in a case of that.
Stop, drop, and roll. Remember that?
Yes.
The cost for that, AJ?
Roughly, it's going to be about $10,000, so we're trying to get some sponsorships through the city and the big companies, and hoping that we can get something funded for this project.
Great.
And our number of calls so far compared to last year at this time?
So roughly, right now, we're looking around 1,600. Last year, we had 1,501 calls, so we're scheduled to be above our most in history of the city. So.
Of those, how many automatic fire alarms?
I would say probably a good
Percentage.
60 to 70% of
Okay.
them are automatic fire alarms.
But our fire loss is?
Our fire loss, as of right now, is at a low.
Great.
So we are doing very well in this department.
Okay. That's good news.
Thank you, Chief.
Any questions from council?
Oh, what's the time of the open house? again?
Open house is from 6 to 7:30.
And that's at 909 Mifflin
Mifflin, yep.
on the 9th of
Firehouse
October.
Station 2. That is correct.
All right. Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, under communications, 2 items for Monday night. The first from Mayor Sherry Capello informing council the reappointment of Dorothy Perez to the City of Lebanon Design Review Board for a 5-year term effective retroactively to July 22nd, 2023. And Mayor?
Sure. So Dot is on the board as an artist. That's the role she fulfills. If you look at the sketches of the historic buildings on one of the Norfolk Southern bridges, those are Dot's drawings. So she's an excellent artist, and we're lucky to have her on the board.
Yes. We appreciate her volunteering.
Mhm.
And any questions on that appointment? Okay. And moving on to the second item under Communications Director of Administration, Assistant to the Mayor, Melissa Quinones, transmitted notice of the 2023 minimum municipal pension plan contributions. Mayor, you're going to take that?
Sure. So the MMO is the minimum amount needed to be paid into the pension plans to ensure that the plans are sufficiently funded. Now, this is based on a snapshot taken during a 2-year actuarial valuation. I'm going to explain this a little bit because I'm sure you probably noticed that the fire pension amount is extremely higher than last year's, and I'm going to explain why. So in 2023, the MMO for the police pension plan was a little over $930,000. Non-uniform pension plan, it's typically always zero. But the fire last year was a little over $258,000, and you're looking at this year at a little over $423,000. So the reason for that is the police, when they do the actuarial valuation, the police is using a smoothing method for the rate of return and the value of assets in the plan. And what that means is they look at a 5-year period of time and they smooth what the value of the assets were over that time. So if there's huge fluctuations in the market, if some are lower, it helps you out. The fire still had market. So at the beginning of the year, I asked if we could look at changing to asset smoothing, but it wasn't quick enough for when the actuarial evaluation was taken because it's as of 1/1/23. And our meeting was 2 weeks later in January. So they looked at the market values. So at the end of the year, the rate of return on the fire pension plan was a negative 15.98%. So the total amortization requirement that was used for the 2023 MMO was a little over $115,000 versus looking at the 2024 MMO, it's a little over $280,000. So that's where it's because of that. Now, the board did agree to use the asset smoothing method to determine the value of their assets. But again, that won't take effect until the next actuarial valuation, which they occur every 2 years for MMO purposes. Now, I will tell you, because it's a little scary, although this was kind of a national trend, but as of the last board meeting, which was held in July, they're held quarterly, the rate of return was 9.53%. So of course, we're bouncing back, but at the time, it's just a snapshot. On this day, this is what it was. The next time we do it, I'm sure it's going to be much better, and it'll be, I'm sure, a lot lower.
Much smoother.
It's basically money that's going into the plan. It's just the city will have to take money out of our general fund a little bit more than what we thought. We'll budget for it in this upcoming budget, but it's just going to be a little bit higher than what we're normally used to. But then, like I said, in 2 years,
So
it'll
it's every
probably go
2
back
years,
down.
okay.
The MMO is every year, but the actuarial valuation is every 2 years. So for the next 2 years, we're going to have to put a little bit more into the plan. But bottom line is, you're looking long-term, and it's what you need to do to make sure it's sufficiently funded. But when you look out 20 years, and this is based on, we're saying that the rate of interest, the rate of return on the plan would be 8%. And, we've gone back and forth in discussions because the lower you make that interest rate, the more you have to put into the plan, obviously. And when I did a survey myself of looking out 20 years, and we were above 8%. So I keep reminding everyone on the board, we have to look long-term, and we're still, as long as we look out 20 years or longer and we're still above that or at that, I don't want to lower that because we'll have to put more in from the general fund.
Okay. All right. Any questions from council? And from anyone in attendance? Okay. Under ordinances, we have one ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of the City of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and this is on introduction. And who would like to take that ordinance? Chris, thank you, Chris. And Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm just going to briefly, we used to do a codification every 2 years, but now we're doing it every year so that, because it's posted online now, and, you know, more people go online to look up your ordinances, and they're not going to know that you made an amendment, you know, 2 years ago. So we are doing it every year now. So real briefly, there's 4 ordinances that get codified and what they are, and this is in our 22 to 23 council session. So the first one was amending Article 153 for fire, and that was to modernize the language in the code. We were the only city in our region that utilized fire commissioner instead of fire chief. Also, our county DES uses chief when they're dispatching, so it made us more in line with industry standard. The other ordinance is our tax levy for the year, and anytime I can make the pitch, I'm going to make it. 4.581 mils for 8 straight years, so no tax increase. The next one was regarding the property tax and residence tax. The governor signed this into law. We were required to adopt this for new homeowners. They would receive a waiver from a property tax penalty if they had not received a notice within 1 year of owning their home. And then also it allowed for the tax collector to not personally be liable if they acted in good faith in their duties. And then the last one, we had 2 municipal lots in the city wherein vehicles were permitted to be parked, but the operators were not being charged a monthly fee for using those spaces. And to be fair and consistent to all of our residents, we thought that anyone using a parking lot on a regular basis should be charged a monthly rental fee like for all of our other lots. And these were just our 2 newest lots. And in new, I mean Northwest Elementary School on North 9th, 10th Street, the lot where the bridge came down, the walking overhead bridge, that was supposed to be a parent pickup drop-off. And of course, the bridge was removed because of it not being a school anymore. And so that parking lot, it could be used full-time for long-term parking. So that one was added into the municipal parking lot rolls. And then the other one was a parking lot that was created north of Knights of Columbus along CNL and Gannon, that half of that parking lot as a negotiation for getting Knights of Columbus to settle with the bridge project. They're allowed to use half of it. They do snow removal on it, but then the other half of the lot on the northern side of it, people were just utilizing it, and they were kind of taking advantage because they were parking campers and there were parts for vehicles all over the place. So we really, thanks to help from PD, got that cleaned up, and our property maintenance code inspectors. Between the 2 agencies, we got that cleaned up, and now we're starting to rent spaces out. So that's a summary of what's going to be codified.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions from council? Okay. And from anyone in attendance? All right. At this time, anything from council bring forth? Okay. And from anyone in attendance? Mayor, one question, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but after this presentation, I'm sure you looked through that before. I mean, was there anything that stood out to you, or?
No, I mean, he kind of hit the nail on the head there when he said, this is kind of where our municipalities in our nation are right now. We don't have enough housing units to support the people that are living in our community. And that can be, several factors involved with that. But yeah, we need more housing units. And our 2 greatest needs, as I was talking with Karen, are for owner, which he mentioned this, for owner occupied is a higher valued home, and for our renters is more affordable units.
But Brian,
and unfortunately right now, a lot of the landlords, because they can, are taking advantage of our poorest people by jacking up the rents because of the supply and demand. Just like, in the real world with supply and demand, and the prices increasing and inflation, we're seeing the same with the housing units.
Brian, I'm going to ask the mayor, Brian had brought up when we finished the presentation about Lebanon Catholic. Has there been any updates on that development?
They're still working through the process. I mean, it's going to move forward, and they're going to have maximum density that's permitted in the zoning ordinance.
Rentals. Those are going to be rental
Yes.
units.
So there will still be some townhouses. Yeah, there still will be townhouses, but the majority of them are apartments. How many townhouses, Robin? Is it 28 or something? 17. So about 17 townhouses and close to 300 apartments,
Wow.
1 and 2 bedroom.
Okay. All right.
But that will, we're about 2,000 short, so we'll have 300, so now we'll be
Yeah.
1,700 short.
All right. Well, we'll
We
see.
do a couple other developments that are like a couple of units, like Hunter Creek, is that what it's called? Hunter Creek over Woodland, 1550 Woodland, that three townhomes. So there's a couple little
Yeah.
1-2 units, but really the Destiny Builder one is the big one.
Okay.
And they had, revised their plan to address our concerns with fire because we couldn't get our ladder truck in, we couldn't maneuver it, and we couldn't get to the inside of the units, so there was definitely a safety factor there, a public safety factor. So we told them we weren't going to approve the plan, so they made some revisions, and I haven't seen the plan for a little bit, but I think it was approved with conditions, right? So Planning Commission made a recommendation to approve with conditions. They're working through the conditions, and as soon as they resolve those, then it will come to my desk for signature.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I guess we'll see everyone Monday, 6:30. Thanks.